Hi, I'm Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of September 4th, 2013, and One Caban, or Earth, in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. And we're also going to be discussing the Virgo new moon, Mercury moving into Libra, Venus moving into Scorpio. September 4th is One Caban, or Earth. It carries the themes of natural rhythms, synchronizing the heart with Mother Earth, inspiration, the powers of creation, earthquakes, ancient wisdoms, and flowing with the natural order. And the Maya believed that the same energy that is the soul of the heart also resides in the earth. And the day symbol for earth represents the interconnectedness of our emotions with the earth's emotions. Ian Lungold wrote, sometimes the earth's delicate sensitivities are upset, resulting in quakes of emotion, even the display of a volcanic temper. I thought this was really interesting that neurophysicists have discovered that our hearts radiate the body's strongest electromagnetic frequency in a torus field. And the field is holographic and arcs out and returns along the axis of the heart, and it extends from the pelvic floor to the crown of the head. The Earth is also the center of an electromagnetic holographic torus field, as is the solar system, as is the galaxy. So it's interesting to note, because of their holographic nature, there is the belief that there really is only one universal torus field, which means that our hearts are connected to the Earth, the solar system, the galaxy, and ultimately the universe. And it's fractal, which means we don't have a part, but we all have the whole represented in each of us. These 13 days are best used to change patterns and to be more heart-centered and in balance with our Earth Mother. I've been including the human design transits for the Trecena, along with the astrology and Tzolkin day signs, which I'll be covering in a few minutes. I'm going to quickly review some of the information before discussing the neutrino forecast for one Earth 13-day period. We start by looking at the positions, and we're looking at the black glyphs in this rave mandala, but we look at the positions of the planets, as well as the Earth, the Moon, the Sun, and the nodes, as we would in astrology, but instead of looking at them as they relate to zodiological constellations or to each other's by the angles they make, we look at them in relation to hexagrams of the I Ching, which are then mapped to specific locations here in the body graph. So at the beginning of this Trecena, we have the Sun in Virgo, and it's in the 64th hexagram. So here we have the Sun in Virgo in the 64th hexagram. When we get to the astrology, you'll see that these all match up with Jupiter down here in Cancer, and Mars in Leo, and the Moon in Leo, Virgo Sun, Mercury also Virgo in the 47, Venus up here in Libra, late Libra in the 32, and then we have Saturn in Scorpio in the 28, and the North Node in the 44, and then way over here we actually see Pluto in Capricorn in the 58. So, so basically we're just taking the same information that we get when we do an astrology reading, and we're mapping it into specific hexagrams, which then map into specific locations in the body graph. And what we're looking at here is that these shapes in the body graph are called centers. They represent the next stage of evolution as humans, as we have moved from having 7 centers or chakras to having 9 centers. And so, and this is important that, a lot of people are still working on their 7 chakras, and that energy being, it came to an end in 1781, and we moved into a new type that's represented with the 9 centers, and represented with a more complex energy channel connections. These all come from the Kabbalistic tree of life, and the pathways are called channels, and the openings to each of the channels are on each end of the channels are called gates. The sun in the 64th hexagram is mapped to an opening in the channel called the 64th gate. It's the gate of confusion. It's located up in the lower left side of the head center in an abstract collective channel called the channel of abstraction. We're going to be talking about that channel because it is defined at the beginning of this report. I found that Human Design is an amazingly accurate, and it's my primary tool when I provide readings. The black strips of paper on here all represent gates that are being activated by the sun, the planets, the nodes, regardless if they form a channel. So we have the following hanging gates or potentials at the beginning of the One Earth Tzolkin. We have the Earth in the 63. We have the North Node in the 44. We have the South Node in the 24. Venus is in the 32. Mars is here in the 31. Saturn in the 28. Uranus in the 21. And Pluto down here in the 58. And obviously not every gate activates, gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because these transits form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. So you can get your human design chart for free. You just go to jovianarchive.com, click on the button that says get your free rave chart, and then just enter in your birth information. I'm not going to be following the moon with this demonstration because it moves so fast. It activates 3 or 4 gates in a day, and we've got enough movement with just the planets, sun, earth, and nodes. On One Caban, or Earth, we have 2 channels defined. We have Jupiter down in the 39 and Neptune in the 55. This is the channel of emoting, and it's going to be with us until September 7th, which is a time period where people feel the pressure in the form of emotional wave. And the emotional wave is just that. It's a wave. It goes from hope to despair, back to hope, down to despair. It's not. It's just an experience that we get when this motor here, the solar plexus, is defined. So the best way to deal with this level of sensitivity is to appreciate the lows as well as the highs, recognizing that it's all part of the human experience, and it's temporary for those of you that don't have this channel, and also if you don't have a defined solar plexus. The experience of this emotional wave may be very strange if that's not how you're designed. This can bring us wisdom, lessons that yield wisdom, as long as we stay present in moving from hope to despair, back to hope in the cycle, and we can tap into the great creativity by fueling our melancholy, our blue feelings into some kind of artistic expression. This brings deeply romantic and acoustic sensitivity, so listening to music or talking to a loved one is favored. And then we also have, the sun is up here in the 64, we've got Mercury in the 47. This is that channel of abstraction. It's the energy of this channel is about creating something new out of something old. It's about abstract thought being brought into the collective consciousness through the arts and philosophy, history, and culture. This is wonderful energy for telling stories about our experiences that inspire others, but it brings confusion when we try to use it to resolve our own issues. Basically, there's not a human on the planet that is designed to make decisions using their mind. If you want to know how to make decisions for you personally, get a human design reading. In that reading, you'll learn about what's your strategy, what's your authority, and you can use that in making decisions that will benefit you. Later on the 4th, Mercury moves out of this 47 and it moves into the 6 over here in the solar plexus, which with that movement we lose the head and ajna center definitions. And then on the 6th, we have Saturn leaving the 28, and it joins the North Node in the 44th gate in the splenic center. Venus leaves the 32nd gate, and it's moving to the 50, which is about laws and protection of children, but also of people who maybe don't have a voice, maybe the elderly, maybe people with disabilities benefit from the 50th gate activation. And then here's a really important big one, is Jupiter moves out of the 39, okay, and it moves into the 53 at the root. So then we lose this definition of the root center and the solar plexus at this point. On the 8th, Mercury then leaves the 6th gate and moves to the G center's 4th gate. And also on this day, Mars on the 8th moves from the 31 over to the 33. So it goes from a logic to an abstract process, but both of them are collective. The 9th, that's when the Sun leaves the 64, and it moves down to the 47. And whenever the Sun moves, the Earth moves, because they're moving together. There's 180 degrees between the two, and it will be moving down into, it moves into the 22. Over here at the solar plexus, this is about having grace. And then on the 11th, Mercury moves out of the 46, and it moves into the 18. And with Mercury in the 18, we still have Pluto in the 58, that is when we get this definition. So we get a defined root, and we have a defined splenic center with this definition. And what this channel is about, this is a channel of judgment. It's the design of insatiability. And it's going to be with us until the 15th, bringing us pressure to offer constructive criticism. This conditioning force works best if it's invited, and its purpose is not personal, but for the good of the collective. So, don't go around criticizing your partner or family members or friends unless they're asking your opinion to do so. But this can influence us to become perfectionists with this insatiability to make improvements. Unfortunately, most people will not be aware of this influence or how to best apply it in their lives. So we'll see a lot of people meeting resistance as they try to change their partner, their family, their friends, with little success. And this will lead to a sense of dissatisfaction. After all, true perfection does not exist. There is only ascending levels of mastery. And then on the 12th, Venus leaves the 50th and moves to the 28. In the splenic center. And then on the 15th, so this the Sun, again, it moves as an axis. The Sun leaves the 47, and it moves to the 6 here. Whenever the Sun moves, so does the Earth. So the Earth then moves out of the 22, and it moves to the 36. After all, they're 180 degrees. They move in tandem. And on the 15th, the second to last day of the Trecena, Mercury leaves the 18, and it moves into the 48. The gate of the well, which always makes me think of John Lennon, because he had that gate. And it's about depth. It's about having depth. So we kind of wrap up with no centers defined at the end of this Trecena report. Before I get into the daily energy of the kah-ban or Earth Tzolkin, I really want to talk about this. There have been so many of these false flag spiritual posts as of late. It's led me to consider, what is their greater purpose? You know, the one that I'm most recently aware of was this, quote, second grand sextile that was to occur August 25th, 2311 EET, Cairo, Egypt. And if you're interested in my opinion about the previous grand sextile, you can listen to the podcast from August 1st on the Earth Needs Rebels radio show, or you which is on Orion Talk Radio, or you can view the July 27th One Flint New World Birth video out on YouTube. It's still there, subtitled July 29th Hoaxogram. But first of all, these offerings, these are just bad astrology. Seriously, you know, when people are saying something significant is happening and then they're anchoring corners of their alignments with asteroids or the moon, you know, these things they don't impart something that's going to be significant, at least not the significance of what these people are pitching. You know, the moon, first of all, moves very, very quickly. It's in and out of orb so quickly, it cannot create this kind of long-lasting effect that this is being marketed as. So one of the things I've struggled with, these predictions that are perpetrated by these hyped up stories, posts, videos, and I've taken great issue with them in the past because I believe their true purpose is to undermine people's trust in the system they represent. And to me, there's no wonder that people view astrology or the Mayan calendar or ancient systems of understanding reality with such disdain and disbelief, because these false flag offerings are poison. In the most recent one, the text states, and it states in all capital letters, first three words, make this viral, okay? Followed by, in mixed case, Peace Portal activation, August 25th, 2013. And this really illustrates my point. This offering is first and foremost about spreading a virus. Of course, there was no Peace Portal on August 25th, so this offering that was viewed by so many undermines a belief system. And that is its point. We all know the global elite uses astrology, and whether it's governments or corporations, even religion, even the Catholic Church, all these different people who are in power are using astrology. So when things like this get planted, it's to make sure that something that's available to everybody is not taken seriously. And if you question whether the global elite really uses astrology, look at the past two wars that the United States instigated. They both began on the spring equinox. So, passing around these hyped up astrology predictions is contributing to the spiritual damage to those you care about most. Who are you sending this stuff? You're sending it to your family, your friends, the people you care about. And what is it doing? All of a sudden there's not peace on August 25th. Then it brings into question whether this information was correct, which would be a good thing, or it brings into question whether the whole system is corrupt. And this is really not a new realization for those who've been following New World Birth for any amount of time. I realize the other reason I have a repulsion to these types of posts, along with anything where the implication is that you can ignore what's really happening and just meditate on a better world, is their second purpose is the homogenization of humanity. And with Uranus currently transiting Aries, this type of message could not be further from the truth. Okay? Uranus and Aries, right? Uranus and Aries is about empowering individuals to take revolutionary action through their courage. And by doing that, they empower others to respond to life as their authentic self. And I feel like this constant bombardment of false flag predictions that are very, very popular on YouTube, Facebook, before it's news, the list goes on, serve only to keep us asleep in our own personal matrix. I think about that scene of Neo and Morpheus in The Construct, when Morpheus says, "The Matrix is a system, Neo. The system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we're trying to save. But until we do, these people are still part of that system, and that makes them our enemy." You have to understand that most of these people are not ready to be unplugged, as many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo, or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? These false flags, these red dress information that's being propagated are part of the system of control. And it's very insidious because it's masked as a liberating force. I believe that if it's viral, it's a virus. But, of course, this is going to beg to question what makes my reports any different. Well, first of all, they're not viral, and I don't think they ever will be. But beyond that, I've studied these systems in depth. I've engaged in exacting research using reputable sources to gather the information I present. And secondly, my focus, particularly in readings, is on the individual person. I use human design to describe the person getting the reading, along with the information about how they can use their individual strategy and authority in making life decisions from their own personal individual design. And then I use astrology to describe the environment that person is navigating. In a play or a movie, the character description would be the human design reading. The scenes of the movie or play would be the astrology reading. So when you experience these reports either on YouTube videos or a radio show or as text on Facebook before it's news or Blogspot, the information being shared is to inform you of the energetic environment so that you can be cautious of some forces and take advantage of others if you choose to. You have the choice. You do not have to just be affected by random things. If you know the music, you can choose to dance or not. Basically, we need to stop looking for a date or an alignment that will bring the changes we hope for. It's really quite simple. The alignment is with your true, authentic, individual self, and the date is now. Anyway, all the planets here appear to be moving forward from our vantage point here on Earth, except for Chiron, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which appear to be moving in reverse. I've said it before, these planets don't really move in reverse. They just appear to be moving backwards from our vantage point here on the Earth. Much like a car passing a slower moving car, there's a point where the slower moving car appears to be moving in reverse when compared to landmarks in the far distance. Basically, Chiron retrograde in Pisces is about releasing stuck emotional energy so that we can return to the natural flow of life. Retrograde Chiron has us reviewing our wounds so that they can be released by having the courage to open our hearts to any fear or pain associated with our past. When Chiron's in Pisces, people are willing to sacrifice their individual pain in hopes of finding bliss in universal consciousness. At worst, it manifests as folks justifying their victimhood as some form of martyrdom. This should be about transcendence and surrender without losing ourselves in the experience. The retrograde aspect brings a longing for lost loves and memories of our losses, encouraging us to return to look at our core wounds and bring them to the surface so they can be healed. We also have retrograde Uranus in Aries. It's seeking to shake the very foundation through which, through unexpected rebellion of the individual, it can shock us into awakening the forces and forces us to embrace a new way of living through reversals and unexpected events. It's best to embrace these changes when they occur because they're removing the obstacles to our new direction. This is about unplanned experiences that disrupt our perceived and planned path in life in order to move us forward in our spiritual evolution, both individually and globally. Retrograde Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is seeking transcendence through spiritual experiences. This will be a time of spiritual practices to keep us grounded as we expand our intuition and consciousness. This will be an important energy to nurture as we're in the middle of 4 years of unexpected rebellion of the individual, which is represented by Uranus in Aries, challenging in a square to the decaying power structure represented by Pluto in Capricorn. This is a difficult time of upheaval, death, destruction, unexpected change, natural disasters, violence, and war. So finding our own peace in our connection to spirit, it will be an important quality to cultivate now for the tumultuous road we are traversing. Neptune pushes us to transcend the physical world, to connect with our higher purpose and spiritual transformation. But it also encourages escapism. So some will seek to go be unconscious, while others seek to awaken. And with then we have Pluto, which is again, it's the planet of transformation through death and rebirth cycle, moving retrograde. This is about reviewing the past, and it will require releasing anything from our past that is a burden to our new path. Pluto will take our baggage regardless of our attachment if it doesn't have a purpose in our rebirth. Pluto represents death and completion. And in Capricorn, this is the breakdown of structures to bring about transformation. And Pluto is currently at the peak of its power for the whole month of September as it slows down and then turns direct on September 20th. I'm going to cover this in much more depth regarding Pluto in the One Dog report on September 17th. So let's look at the daily vibrational energy for this Trecena. September 4th, 2013 is One Caban, or Earth in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. This is about unity experienced through gratitude for Mother Earth, with the Virgo moon in an Earth sign, opposed by Neptune in harmony with Saturn and finding support from Pluto, also in an Earth sign. The day's emotional energy it moves from feeling sensitive emotionally but being confused about regarding the accuracy of what's being felt, to wanting to be alone in our thoughts and feelings, and then finally feeling a deeper, more intense level under the influence of Pluto. And then the 5th is to Etsnob, or Flint in the Tzolkin, duality experience through being introspective. And this is when we have the Virgo new moon in harmony with Jupiter, opposing Chiron, and merging with the sun. It's a new moon. This brings energy to get organized as the summer is finishing up in the northern hemisphere and the winter's finishing up in the southern hemisphere. This energetic is about health and work and service. This lunation sextile Jupiter, the day brings good feelings and congenial social interactions. In opposition to Chiron, criticism will be more wounding. So you may want to hold off a day or so if you feel the need to correct someone. Maybe you should be waiting for their invitation. New moons are times of new beginnings. And in Virgo, this is about discernment and organization and discrimination. New moons bring us the opportunity to set an intention for manifestation on the following full moon. What you want to do is you look at the house of your astrological chart that contains 13 degrees of Virgo to consider the area of your life that's being activated by this new moon. For me, that would be the fourth house of the home and inner world. So I would set an intention related to using this energy, such as cleaning or doing some home repairs or some type of inner work on myself on that day. That would fulfill the Virgo new moon's desire for organization or refinement through my natal first house's role of the inner world and the home. And then on the 6th, we have 3 Kawak or storm, taking action through recognizing the gifts of adversity. What we've got is we've got the moon in Virgo, a conjunct Mercury, which is a positive energy for integrating our thoughts and moods. The 7th is for a how. The last Forahau we had was December 21st, 2012. You know, the reported end of the Mayan long count, but we went into why it may or may not have been that day back then. Forahau, or sun in the Mayan Tzolkin, this is about stability through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors. And on that day, the sun is in a sextile to Jupiter. So from our perspective here on Earth, this is a 60-degree angle, and it's very positive for almost any activity. It brings a positive frame of mind that can be applied towards success. This is great energy to be with friends or work harmoniously in group situations. With Jupiter involved, it's easier to see the big picture. It also helps relationships with people in authority, as there's a desire to be at one with all sources of universal energy. And so on the most mundane level, it includes a drive to get along with those who are in power. And we have the Libra moon is stimulated by Mars, challenged by Pluto and Jupiter, and opposed by Uranus, which activates a very challenging Grand Cross. And we've talked about this Grand Cross. I mean, we've talked a lot about having, you know, Pluto square to Uranus, and now we have Jupiter filling out this other point. So the moon here fills out the fourth point, creating a Grand Cross. It's a challenging energy of the day. The individual aspects of the moon in Libra, as it interacts throughout the day with the planets, the energy moves from desiring to work independently from others to having a compulsion to act in ways that may not be good for us in the long run. Later, folks have are emotionally excitable and impulsive, and then finally it shifts to feeling benevolent and generous to those in our immediate environment. And then September 8th is 5 Emish, or crocodile, empowerment through nurturing new beginnings. With the moon in Libra merging with Venus, which feels cheerful, warm, gregarious, and wants to go out and socialize. The 9th is 6 Eek, or wind, which is in the Mayan Tzolkin, which is about being in the flow through communication. And we have the planet of communication, Mercury, moving across into Libra, which is going to be there for a very short stay because it moves into Scorpio at the end of the month. In Libra, Mercury is about rational, balanced thinking and communication. People are going to be more inclined to make decisions by listening to the pros and cons. Sometimes this weighing of options just turns into complete indecision. Mercury is very social in Libra and does not wish to stir up controversy, so I expect that people will have more friendly and possibly sympathetic conversations with others over the next 20 days. Also on the 9th, Mars squares Saturn. So we have Mars over here in Leo, forming a 90-degree angle from our perspective here on Earth with Saturn. So this is a 90-degree angle. It's called a square, which is best approached slowly and with caution. Carelessness under this transit leaves little hope of success. It indicates a very frustrating, potentially irritating time. This transit affects us for a few days before and after the 9th as frustration when we push too hard and get stressed with not enough time to get everything done, or we're acting aggressively. Saturn, think about Saturn. Saturn says stop. Mars says go. The square is conflicted. This can seem very discouraging, but it's temporary, And with the Scorpio moon, this finds support from Neptune, merges with Saturn, is challenged by Mars, and in harmony with Pluto, the day moves from fantasies and daydreams, distracting us from accomplishing our routine tasks, to wanting to be alone in our thoughts and feelings, with the potential for people to feel irritable and have needless disputes, and then finally having deep emotions finding their way to the surface and felt on a profound level. September 10th is 7 Akbal, or night in the Tzolkin, reflection through contemplating the stars, with the moon in Scorpio being supported by Jupiter in harmony with the sun, which moves from experiencing a pleasant sense of well-being to later feelings of inner and outer equanimity. Sounds nice. Okay, the 11th, 8 Kah-ban, or seed or lizard in the Tzolkin. This is balance through planting seeds or making new connections. And Venus moves into Scorpio. So Venus gets all the way over here, crosses that line into Scorpio. Which is the sign of its detriment, and because it's the opposite of Taurus, which is a sign that Venus rules. Planets in their detriment are traditionally considered to have difficulty operating positively in these signs. This begins a period leading up to the equinox where we're seeing more and more Pluto and Scorpio activity, which is increasing the intensity that pulls us deeper into our experiences. Relationship issues will not be suppressed while Venus is in Scorpio until October 7th. Venus in Scorpio represents the passion and sexual energy in relationships. Scorpio, being ruled by Pluto, wants to have a spiritual connection with the other, where it experiences surrender and death and rebirth and transformation through love. Try to avoid being possessive during Venus's time in the sign of the Scorpio. While the Sagittarius moon is challenged by Neptune and in harmony with Mercury and finds support from Mars and Uranus, the day's emotional energy moves from being in our dreams to bringing our dreams into the daily vibration from Neptune's energy, while having pleasant energy for being with friends and loved ones, with the other energy, Mercury being coming into this energy at around the same time. And then it shifts to feeling a little more confident than usual, with the ability to assert ourselves in a positive manner when it interacts with Mars. And then finally, it brings the desire for emotional excitement to engage in activities outside of our daily routine. That's when Uranus is interacting with it. September 12th. 9 Shichan, or serpent, patience experienced through being flexible. We have the first quarter moon in Sagittarius. It's challenged by the sun in Virgo, and that's the only planet making an angle to this first quarter moon, which brings challenges to following a daily routine, but it's still pretty clean other than that. The 13th is Tenkimi, or transformation, manifestation through releasing what no longer serves us. as the Capricorn moon harmonizes with Venus, Neptune, and Saturn, and is challenged by Mercury and merges with Neptune. The day moves from wanting to be with our friends and the people we love, and having greater sensitivity to others' emotions and possible psychic impressions for those of you who are open and sensitive in that way. And then it shifts to moods influencing our abilities to think rationally, and then again it shifts again to having more realistic expectations through being calm and reflective, and then later we have more intense moods rising to the surface from deep in our psyches. Then on the 14th we have 11 Manik, which is deer, which is about resolution through being service to others. And on this day, we've got Venus here in Scorpio, forming a trine to Neptune in Pisces. So a trine, from our perspective here on Earth, this trine is a 120-degree angle, which is an alignment that's connecting planet octaves. Venus representing personal love, Neptune representing unconditional universal love. This is a pleasant energy, although it's not great for accomplishing tasks. There's a strong tendency for daydreaming and fantasy. It's excellent for any type of creativity that must be conceived mentally prior to being brought into physical form. For the more highly evolved, this is an experience of great compassion and tenderness, as the transit induces selflessness and spiritual love. And then we also have Mercury over here forms a square. So Mercury in Libra forms a 90-degree angle to Pluto in Capricorn. So 90-degree angle is a square from our perspective here on the Earth. This can really bring an obsession to a particular point of view, and so having an open mind is very important on the 14th, and this can be a time where we experience one thought that really dominates the day and leaves really little room for anything else. This can be a period of increased arguments, as people are inclined to try to force their ideas on others. The best way to use this transit is to turn inward and to bring some light to hidden psychological insights that could actually be effective in changing your life. Also, this is good for the study of subjects that expose what's hidden or covert aspects of people or the world. That type of study is benefited under this transit. So subjects like psychology or magic or other occult teachings, along with things like yoga or things like that sort of unveil other possibilities of human potential. And then we also have Mars out here makes a trine to Uranus. So we have Uranus here in Aries, Mars out here in Leo. So these two fire signs make a 120-degree angle from our perspective here on Earth. This could really be quite bring something occurring that's quite unexpectedly. They're exciting and they have the potential for personal growth. People may want to break out of their daily routine with personal inhibitions are reduced under this influence. Expect folks to engage in activities that they desired but yet didn't have perhaps the courage for before. So risk-taking under this influence can give a greater sense of being alive, but it also may have unexpected and unpleasant consequences if things don't work out just right. So this can be used to break down barriers in our lives without having to impulsively destroy everything we see as a restriction. We also have the moon in Capricorn. And it's challenged by Uranus, opposed by Jupiter, supported by the Sun, which shifts us, folks, from acting hastily and jumping to conclusions that may not be correct, to later having feelings of generosity and finally having a sense of harmony within ourselves, and supports any type of group activity or relationships with the opposite sex. The 15th is 12 Lammat, or star. This is about understanding through being grateful for abundance in relationships, with the Aquarius moon being challenged by Venus, which Lammat is all about Venus, and Saturn, which moves us from a pleasant energy for being with others. We want to know better. Great for abundant relationships. And then later, with Saturn, it brings sort of a feeling of being isolated or loneliness. And then September 16th, 13 Maluk, or offering. This is movement to the next stage through appreciating creation. And on this point, we've got Mercury here in opposition to Uranus and Aries, Mercury. So from our perspective here on the Earth, this is a 180-degree angle, which is another example of planet octaves. Mercury representing personal thought and communication, along with short distance travel, and Uranus is representing long distance travel and transpersonal thoughts and communication. And there's a tension with the opposition, as people will think and speak hastily. Important information may be overlooked as if folks are in too much of a hurry. This may leave them feeling scattered, nervous, and undisciplined. This could be a time where this could be a good time for brainstorming, as people will feel mentally stimulated, where they can understand information much more quickly, wherever whatever the experiences they're having. But it will need to stand the test of time before it will be clear. As with most transits involving Uranus, this flavors a new types of adventures, and it's kind of repelled for just doing daily mundane routine. And it's interesting, we have this alignment, and then 1 minute later, the moon in Aquarius is stimulated by Uranus and supported by Mercury. So it comes right into orb with the Mercury-Uranus opposition, and then it opposes Mars by 4:19 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and then it turns void of course for the rest of the day. So these angles are really hitting very early in the day, and you can convert the time to your local time. So the day starts with pleasant yet restless feelings, craving, emotional excitement to do something outside of the daily routine, and being in touch with our feelings and able to share them with others. And then when it's opposed to Mars, it influences people to be more excitable and irritable and can cause problems in our personal lives. And then after, it moves past that, let's say 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, it's void of course for the rest of the day, which is about enjoying pleasant social interactions with others. But we want to, avoid making any major decisions or purchases. Void of course moons are good to use for resting, to assimilate all this energy that we've been experiencing. But it's not good for making decisions. It's not good for making purchases. So no matter what these energies that are affecting you during this one Earth Trisena, take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature. Watch a sunrise or a sunset. Commune with the stars. Be conscious of the moment through introspection or meditation, or just really being conscious while you're with somebody you love. Every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas are that beckon to distract us. We're all here giving the performance of the lifetime on this world stage. So just take some time out to observe the play as well as act your part. Remember that you are a spiritual being who's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of the New World Age will be on September 17th for one Auk or dog. We're also going to be talking about the Pisces full moon, Pluto turning direct, Mercury moving into Scorpio. You can check us out on Facebook or YouTube or the Mind Magics website. I encourage you to share this information as videos or text as widely as you choose. As always, I invite you to contact me on newworldbirth@yahoo.com. If you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading, I am providing readings and wish to make this service available to the greatest amount of folks. So I created 3 options with 3 levels of compensation. These readings are designed to provide information to help you navigate these difficult times. At the basic level, we'll look at your human design chart to help you understand your individual strategy and authority in making decisions based on your unique design. I include 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressed astrology charts, along with the human design reading at the middle level. At the top level, the human design and astrology transit readings are recorded and sent to you as an MP3 file that you can download to your computer. And this has also turned out to be a very good option for people with families or people who are just really too busy, because these readings tend to be around 2 hours long. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter. But so if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would like to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You're going to have to be able to either call me in Maine, in the USA, or we can connect on Skype to receive your reading. I'm also accepting donations. We've had some computer issues here that turned out to be very expensive. So if you feel the urge to help us out, to keep these presentations freely available, please consider making a donation. On Facebook, it's pretty simple to make a donation. You just go to the About on the New World Birth Facebook page, and then you click on the website link under Contact, and it will take you directly to making a donation to the New World Birth PayPal account. Otherwise, you can find it on PayPal under the New World Birth at yahoo.com email address. As always, I am absolutely blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. Enlighten me honors the lighten you. Namaste and Lakesh, and I hope to see you next time. Peace to everyone.